continuing on our conversation yesterday that we never really got to officially, but we talked about it indirectly. But we wanted to look more in tuned or more into this free agent linebacker market, inside linebacker market specifically, because we know that we're going to have to do something in there, whether it be drafting, bringing personnel in, or hitting the free agency market, bringing personnel in. And we'll, as we go through this first topic, talk a little bit more about what we're looking for. I mean, if we're trying to go with a higher end option, we got some of those on the table, but maybe we're trying to go for a little bit of a middle option, or maybe you're just trying to bring in a depth guy. But either way, man, we're going to talk about all of those things. So let's tap in. So, we actually got a new addition to the free agency market in the linebacker room because of yesterday. But just to give you a quick recap, Zach Cunningham just became available to the unrestricted free agent market once he was released with the Tennessee Titans. I think it was him, Taylor Lewan, and Randy Bullock. Shout out to Randy,
Robert
man.
Woods too.
Wood, that's my other dude. Shout out to Woody, man. Absolutely. But Zach Cunningham, like I said, he'll be an unrestricted free agent available on the market. Deion Jones, off-ball linebacker out in Cleveland, he'll be available. Levante David, Super Bowl champion. Devin Bush, we know Devin, but he'll be an unrestricted guy as well. Anthony Walker Jr., the linebacker out in Cleveland. Tyler Matakavich, a.k.a. Dirty Red. Shout out to Red.
They kind of got him high on the list.
They low-key do, though.
He's in, the top 10?
Yeah. But it's that per, I think it's that salary we was getting per year.
He was getting paid a significant amount.
Yeah, he got the Derek White contract. Yeah.
Now,
Uh-huh.
Derek Watt did contribute this last year.
Uh-huh.
But we know Matakavich's role.
Yeah.
Like it's you're bringing in a special teams ace.
And he's been doing that the whole time up there. They love
Yeah, because he's not playing inside linebacker for him. That's why it's just funny seeing all these other names. I'm like, this dude only plays special teams. He's getting paid like out of this inside linebacker free agent class,
you
top
would think
10
he was
money.
Top 10, yeah. That's the funny part, though. If you don't know,
you
look up here and be like, bro,
right.
I think we got one, bro.
Say you're a fan of another team and you're like, hey, we're looking for inside linebackers, and you're really not watching or paying that much attention. Hey, why not this Tyler Matakavich guy?
Yeah.
He's not the guy that's going to get paid the highest, but it seems like he got paid reasonable, so he must be good.
He got to be decent, bro. He can play. He can come in there, start for us.
Doesn't play inside linebacker.
Yeah, shout out to my dog Red though, man. But now the other linebacker up there that does play a lot, Tremaine Edmunds, obviously unrestricted. Denzel Perryman, Corey Littleton. Shout out to TG killed me with that one yesterday. Lord have mercy.
Caught a stray.
Corey Littleton. Oh, man, no, I'm just like, how Corey catch that stray of all strays? Like, dang. Alex Anzalone, I was a fan of him. I kind of like this game a little bit, slightly, not a ton, but there's enough for the preseason. Let's see who else, man.
Wait for the preseason.
Remember the preseason matchup? What was that? 2 years ago?
Oh well, we played him last year. We might have played him 2 years ago
we played
too.
Him 2 years because it was the game when it was regular season. It was when Mason started.
Oh yeah,
I think it was that one. Yeah, but he was one of their guys. I was like, man, because it was him and Davis. And I was like, oh, man, this dude, Anzalone, kind of all right, make range a little bit. Yeah. All right. Quan Alexander, Raquan McMillan, Jayon Brown, Jared Davis, John Bostic, formerly of this parish. And yeah, man. So when I think of these LBs, man, off the top of my head, when I prioritize them, Tremaine Edmunds is my priority number one. But he's my priority number one for a couple of reasons. When you talk about the fit, I think he fits what we do here. In terms of you can cover him up or you can leave him uncovered. He's still going to be able to, disengage off of blockers, stack, shed, make plays. Some of the things we talk about our inside linebackers struggling with at times, being a little undersized or not being just big, strong, backers. That's kind of where we have our issues when guys are able to get up on them. They don't disengage and get off of those blocks as easily. But when you talk about Tremaine Edmunds, that's one of the things that he does at an elite level. But he also is very athletic in the sense that, man, he zone dropped a ton in Buffalo. But whenever they asked him to do man-to-man, he was still more than capable of it. In fact, one of the big highlight plays that everybody went crazy over in the playoffs was him smacking the running back out the backfield. Finally had him in man-to-man where he was able to just say, all right, that's my guy. Let me show you how big and fast I can run. But at the same time, be under control and make some plays like that. I think that he's one of those guys that is always going to cost the most.
Right.
But when you talk about what you're getting with him, you're getting a guy that's a perennial 100-plus tackle guy, a guy that's going to be your surefire Mike linebacker and just settle the inside of that defense, especially against the run. So like I said, for me, I'd look at him as that high-end, just super dope. We know what we're getting, but it's going to cost. Then from there, man, when I think of, because like I said, I had like a top 3.
I think he's in a tier in his own.
I would agree.
If you think about it.
Yeah.
Because Levante David, you're viewing him as like a 1 or 2 year rental.
Yeah.
He's 33. Whereas Tremaine Edmunds can be someone's
That's
franchise
a 4 or 5 year
inside
guy,
linebacker.
easily. Yeah.
I don't see anyone else in this free agent class that can be that right now.
Deion Jones is the other guy that I flirt with, but because of how the past 2 years have went for him, it makes you kind of back off. If you got the version that was in Atlanta those first couple of years, you're looking at that saying he could be that.
For sure.
But since the trade and that last year in Cleveland, it hasn't looked like that. It hasn't been as productive as that. And there really isn't like a telltale in terms of like why. And I think that's more so the concern with Deion, whereas with Tremaine, you don't have that issue.
He's
Literally,
24.
Yeah, the only reason he's
Deion's
leaving,
28.
the only reason he's leaving is because they didn't pay too many people in Buffalo. You got Josh got paid, Diggs got paid. They paid Matt Milano, who's the LB that was next to him, all pro this season. Then you got Tre'Davious White that got paid, and then you still had your safeties getting checks in terms of Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer. So it was just a lot of money that's going around there. And now it's his turn to get a check. They ain't got enough to, cut it.
It just happened.
Like it's part of the league, man. Absolutely.
It's happened countless times with us, with receivers, like a Mike Wallace or Emmanuel
prime
Sanders.
example, yeah.
Don't want to lose them, but we got to pay other guys.
Yeah. And it's more so that. So, like, I agree with you. Yeah, he's definitely in his own tier, and that's why I definitely had him as, like, my clear number 1. But he's earned it. You know what I mean? So
there's consequences for it. You're going to have to pay more for him.
Right. You know what it's going to, you know what it is, but that's going to be pricey. Now, how pricey, we'll see. But the thing is, it's going to hit the open market. So that's the dicey part. When it's the open market, that bidding war can happen, and it can turn crazy in a hurry. So
especially if he is in his own tier.
Yeah.
If someone needs an inside line. If there's 3 or 4 teams that really want a solid inside linebacker.
If you feel like
staple
all I'm missing,
guy
if you feel like this is all I'm missing, that's the guy.
Someone might overpay him.
If you feel like that's all you're missing, he'll be your guy.
Because there's no one else. I mean, you could get the. I think there are some other options here, but if you're looking for a guy for the next 3-4 years, I think he's the only guy that you could really hang your hat on.
Yeah, to me, I look at, in terms of long-term options, Tremaine Edmunds number 1. Deion, like I said, I flirt with, but I need to see that. I need to like talk to it, see it run around potentially. Levante, like you said, man, that's a 2 to 3 year rental. I think 2 years and then he might retire.
Still good value.
Yeah, like Levante has his own market, if that makes sense as well. Like Tremaine is on his own tier because of how dominant he is and how good he is, but also what he's going to cost. I feel like Levante has his own market because of, he's just as talented to do certain things that a Tremaine can do, that a Deion Jones can do, but doesn't necessarily have the injury history, doesn't have the drop off in productivity, isn't as young as a Tremaine, isn't going to cost necessarily as much as a Tremaine, but he's still not going to be cheap either. I just think that is his own market because of who he is and because he's been the leader of all the defenses that he's been on.
Yeah, so for certain teams like the Steelers, I see that as potentially as attractive, if not more attractive, as an option as Tremaine Edmunds.
Yes.
We're talking about tiers in terms of just like players and where they are at their career. But a team like the Steelers, who may want to keep some more cap flexibility going forward, maybe they're just looking for a Levante David. We got a young team. Hey, bring in a veteran, get him for 1 or 2 years, and then we could see what the market's like in the following years, or we could draft a guy. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it all depends on what you're looking at as a team.
Because my question with that approach with either one of those, it's like, if you go Edmunds, you're essentially locking in another big contract on defense.
Now, if you're the Bears or one of the other teams that have a ton of cap space,
you get away with it. Yeah, but I'm like, for us, it's like, that's a lot of resources on that side of the ball.
100%.
And we know we still got things that we want to adjust on offense, but it's like, man, that just seems like a ton when you have Edmunds going to be on a contract, Watt on a contract, Mink on a contract. If we re-sign in Cam Sutton, he'll be on a new deal. Highsmith is up. He's going to get getting ready to get new money. We got to see what we're going to do with Cam. It's just like, That's a lot of money over there. Whereas I think of like a Levante, and I'm like, is that kind of like the best of both worlds, so to speak, where we still feel like we got a significant upgrade. We still feel extremely confident, but maybe for like half the price. And that's the thing for me where I'm like, I think I like that. But at the same time, I don't know. Do we want to try to cut the corner right here? Or is this one of those positions where we say you spend, because we've seen the past 2 years, we haven't necessarily cut corners, but we haven't broke the bank. We brought in Joe Shore, we brought in Miles Jack. And to varying degrees of success, we still are back here kind of like, man, we still feel like we want to do something in this room right now.
Okay, so here's the question. I think Levante David is better than like a Schobert or like the Avery Williamson options for sure.
It's crazy too, bro. I forgot.
Where do you think he stands versus Tremaine Edmunds for 1 year for 2023?
1 year, I think he matches it. I think Tremaine still be the better player at the end of the season, but I think Levante, you wouldn't be hurting. I don't think if you had Levante for 1 season and Tremaine is over there for 1 season, I don't think you look at Levante and you're like, dang, bro, like why do we do this? I think we'll still feel good. We just know.
I think we'll be pumped. We have the cap flexibility next offseason.
That's the thing. So it's like you look at it as you have the cap flexibility, but I kind of look at it like you're gonna have the cap flexibility, which is a positive, but I think I'll have to replace this dude within a year or two. And that's like my negative with it. Whereas with Tremaine, I'm not going to have the flexibility, but now I don't have to worry about this position for the next 4 or 5 years.
And Tremaine will just be the guy, and we'll probably move on from Miles Jack then. I just don't think it's wise to be paying 2 dudes close to that $10 million range.
I would agree,
in terms of inside linebackers.
I definitely would agree. Yeah, and it's weird, man, because like I said, Levante is definitely the more accomplished, the more proven, the more career production and all that, but Edmunds is coming into his prime. You know what I mean? And it's just like you're looking at a guy who's on the back end, whereas a guy that's tapping in with freakish athletic traits, and you say, can it it's already developing, but what else can this grow into potentially? Whereas with Levante, we kind of already know what it is, but we feel great about what it is.
Sure.
But it's at the end of the road. I mean, it's 33.
That's a good point with Edmunds. You're maybe still paying for some upside.
Yeah. So it's like you got all of that because of how young he is. I mean, he came in the league, he was young. He was like 20. Yeah.
So I'm with you. Those would probably be our top 2 options.
Yeah. If we're looking for significant.
And we're not worried. Let's just say we're not worried about money as much.
So I looked at it like this, right? I said, if I was going to surefire fix this position, those are the 2 guys to me.
Right.
Edmunds is the one that's going to cost the most, so it's going to have more of a long-term effect on it. Levante is the short-term Band-Aid. But I think both of those guys are the definitive. If we're trying to upgrade that specific position, those are the guys I look to.
Because that's the other question. Do we feel like we need to surefire upgrade it right now? Yeah. I think we could roll in with the Mark Robinson, Spillane, and Miles Jack next year. But if that is the Steelers' focus, so like that's kind of, you almost have to go in with that premise or the hypothetical into this conversation. And then you ask yourself, okay, how much money do you want to spend? How big of a contract do you want to give these dudes? And, Tremaine Edmunds, he's probably going to be looking for a 3 or 4 year deal. Levante David, you probably get him for 1 or 2. And probably a cheaper per year amount with him. So I don't know. I go back and forth with that. You could probably sell me on either. I guess that's
my question. Is inside linebacker position that you feel we can cut corners on? Based on the guys that we've had out there throughout the past couple of seasons. Because I've noticed how we haven't had the same starting linebackers for 2 years in a row yet. You realize that?
I kind of got the TG mentality with this of, like, if we do stick with the guys we have, Mark Robinson, bring back Spillane, I think Robinson will be good. I think he'll be solid for us. I think it'll be better. I think last year was better than what it was in 2020, or even if we want to just say over the last several years. I think Robinson would do the job. I don't cut corner. We're talking about him potentially getting 100 tackles if he does play every down,
right?
And he'd be the second guy to Miles Jack.
I look at it like this though. What I mean by cut corners is this: we're fans of Mark Robinson, so everything we project is positive. If you were not a fan of Mark Robinson and we're just simply looking at Mark Robinson, Tremaine Edmunds, and Levante David, if you were to say, hey, man, let me sell you on Mark Robinson, that's going to look like you're cutting a corner. Now, not saying that it can't develop, not saying that it couldn't be this, But when you just simply look at it in the context of these are the other options, you can draft something in the second and third, right? Those type of options. And we're like, hey, you know what? Now we're going to roll with Mark Robinson potentially being a 100+ tackle guy. That's we're going to cut the corner and hope that it works out. But when you cut the corner, you're cutting it for a reason. So it's a lot more risky. That's the only part of it.
Yeah, it's tough because we still have Miles Jack. I don't think we're cutting the corner with him. I think he's a really solid linebacker. Yeah. You know,
but
top 15,
healthy,
top
though, right?
10, whatever.
Because down the stretch, that was the issue with him, was the health part of it.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think from a team building standpoint, if you are going to pick the position to cut corner, I think it is inside linebacker.
Okay.
I feel like you want to have a strong defensive line, like TG was saying with Corey Littleton. Like if you have an Aaron Donald or a really stout defensive line up front, you can get away with maybe some average inside linebacker play.
Philly,
as long as you're willing to hit.
Hey, about to say, if you could win up front, man, it makes everybody's life a lot easier.
Yeah, those dudes in Philly.
Yeah, we talked about
those guys, they're going to make some money now just because they were on Philly's defense.
Because you playing behind
But I feel like they're average linebackers in reality.
When you play behind a front that can get off, that can keep you free, that can make plays on their own, as a linebacker, man, that's what you dream of. That's like having that's Andy Dalton throwing it to AJ Green all the time. Where it's like, yo, you don't have to even read it, just literally jump ball. Like when you got a front like that, it's just tackling practice. It's like, bro, I know I'm gonna be clean. Even if I read it wrong, I just gotta watch this running back. Cause nobody's gonna get to me. It's a great feeling. Some of these dudes do be benefiting from that, man.
Yeah, I think I'd prioritize D-line, edge, however you want to phrase it.
In terms of like where you want to spin.
Yeah, that and corners. Corners are second to now. We got it on Minka, but like if we got a Jalen Ramsey, hey, that makes more sense to me than signing Tremaine Edmunds to a big deal.
Okay. Now I like that then.
What do you think? You're a linebacker guy.
Well, I go back and forth. Because I say, who's going to cost more, Jalen Ramsey or Tremaine Edmunds?
It's going to be Ramsey.
Yeah.
I don't think by that much, though.
But not by that much, but we're also going to spend and we're going to have to trade for it. So what else are we giving up for? Whereas with Edmunds, I'm just spending. I'm not giving up anything else with it. So I think of that whole dynamic. I think of who has the longer shelf life. And if it were to go bad between either one, who is it more likely to go bad with sooner, as we talked about? Corner is a harder position to age out of, but we also talked about how he has that potential to age from corner to safety. So I kind of like go back and forth with that. But right now, when I think of this roster, I say, it really depends on what we want to do with this draft. Because if we're drafting a corner early, then I'm not worried about per se going out to get a Ramsey. I feel like I got to get me a linebacker. Yeah. But if we're not, then I don't feel confident in the group if we don't have an alpha. If all I'm doing is going to rely on a rookie to go out there and play. Because as we've seen with rookies, man, it could be hit or miss. Some of rookies come out there and play great year one, fall off a cliff year two. Some guys struggle in year one and look great year two. But you just never know what you're going to get with those type of guys. I'd probably lean the Levante David route and try to go find me another like nice piece, but not too expensive piece at corner.
Have a Robinson learn under David maybe for
like
a year.
I think of like that type of vibe because Levante is definitely going to be able to come in here and be a clear upgrade. He's going to be a cheaper option than an Edmunds. Is more I guess I feel more confident in it than a Deion Jones because I don't know which version I'm getting from him. But yeah, it still gives me flexibility. So say I don't get a Jalen Ramsey, but maybe I find I don't know, another Levi Wallace equivalent or another like Cam Sutton type equivalent that's potentially out there, not a James Bradbury where it's going to be double digits, but something in that 5-6 range. So instead of me paying 12 to 14 on one, I'm trying to split that up and get two. So that's kind of how I would go with it.
I'll put it to you this way. I feel like I would be okay if we did not allocate extra resources to inside linebacker versus any other position this offseason. So say we did not address the defensive line. Mm-hmm. I would be more pissed about that versus inside linebacker. Okay. Say we did not address cornerback. Yeah. Like we didn't bring back Cam Sutton or pick someone up in the draft. I'd be more pissed off about that versus not bringing in an inside linebacker.
Because at least we currently have three dudes that we've seen start, we've seen play. We at least have done that. When you're talking about no Cam Sutton, no Levi Wallace, it's over here like, well, who are the bodies that are even going to be out there? We say no Larry Ogunjobi. You don't touch the D line. Like, who are you even?
Yeah,
gonna
you
put
don't
out
you
there?
don't bring back Ogunjobi.
Right,
You
right.
don't draft Ika or something like that.
Like that. I'm with you on that 100%. Yeah.
So buy or sell the market value Spot Rack has on David right now. $9.7 million.
I'm selling it. I think it might be a little lower, bro.
I'm thinking 7.
That's your number too. You throw that out there for everybody. Can I get it for 7? Can I? Man, I heard they got this all world receiver Justin Jefferson. I think I'm gonna get him for like 7. Yeah, maybe 7.5 with a nice signing bonus. Like, Deke, bro, where you get these 7s from, man?
For Deontay, I did say 17, 18 for him.
Of course, I should have known why you say 7 all the time.
Well, my 2 for this year, Cam Sutton, I predicted 7.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're right. I think I said
You always
Ogunjobi
say
7
bro.
too.
That's
I was
your
like,
number,
I
bro.
think we can get him for 7.
That is your number, bro.
Levante, I think we can get him for 7.
That's your number. If we get him for 7, I love it.
That wouldn't be bad at all.
Super flexible, man, in terms of now we got space to go add in other positions. But at the same time, man, you got a dude that can
Don't have to worry about
produce.
draft either.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Maybe Tomlin can't help himself and still drafts a guy, but we shouldn't. We bring in Levante
Coach
David.
T gonna Coach T it?
If we have Levante David, now I don't know if we bring back Spillane then, but you've David, Jack. I think you still should bring back Spillane for the depth. In case either one of those dudes go down.
We saw this year, man.
Yeah, I think you
Anything
still
can
bring
happen,
back
bro.
Spillane, and you have Robinson. That's good. Do not draft anyone, please. Please do not. That would be so solid.
You know it takes somebody to 3rd. You know we're gonna do it. We're gonna take a linebacker. We always take a linebacker. Or we're gonna draft one in the 7th. We're gonna take somebody though.
I'm fine with that.
We're gonna take
sure.
somebody.
Find another Mark Robinson.
We're gonna get us a linebacker. That's what you better believe. Death, taxes, Steelers taking linebackers. That's what we do.
Okay, so we haven't talked about Devin Bush. We haven't talked about any of these other guys.
So let's talk about them, man. Because
There's
those
some
are
sleeper picks.
those are the alternative options. So we focused right there on.
So would you say Deion Jones is your 3rd then?
in terms of like the higher end? Yes, yeah. But
Edmunds,
he's still
David
the question
Jones.
mark. Yeah. Deion is definitely the 3rd, like clear 3rd.
It's a rough
because
class.
of just how he's fallen off a cliff, so to speak. I'm not a big Zach Cunningham guy. I think he needs to be like covered up, cleared out where he could just go sideline to sideline. I think he struggles when he has to like hat in hands and stuff like that, man. So yeah, that's why I wasn't even including him all the way with us, because I don't think he's gonna fit our defense. I think he's gonna almost like how Schobert was, or even when we watched Devin, even though his body type is different than Devin, is similar in the sense of how he plays. He's not a big, let me punch, let me, separate, engage, and all that other stuff. That's not his game.